What's up, everybody? Just Aaron here with Why We Love Horror, and you are in for a treat or a difficult listen or something in between there. You did read the title of this episode correct for this special edition. It is Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, and here's the trailer right here.
Daylight come and we want to go. Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and we want to go. Me say day, me say day, me say day, me say day, me say day.
The juice is loose.
And that is Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, which I've been falsely adding exclamation points to. Right off the bat here, I'm just going to mention it. I am going to be the brave one ahead of history here with all the 3s and 3.5s on Letterboxd, where you read the review and you're like, that doesn't really sound like they believe what they're saying. I'm going to actually say, wow, I feel. Right off the bat, yeah, I liked the first Beetlejuice. I think it's a good movie. For the most part, Tim Burton before like 2008 or so was okay and good, and then he kept making movies, and I've kind of been checked out on him. And, the last 5 years, he hasn't made any movies since Dumbo. And then he comes back, makes Wednesday last year. I didn't watch Wednesday, so I'm sure it was good for who it was good for. And he's like, I'm going to keep having fun working with Jenna Ortega, bring back, Michael Keaton. And first and foremost, I'm not going to go through the whole kind of plot of this movie. You can go to some other videos for those plot breakdowns and everything. This is more just my reaction overall to this movie. And I'm just going to put up spoilers from the beginning. You can watch this without seeing the movie. I think you'll enjoy it more with seeing the movie. I have positives. I have negatives. And, for me, I just I was ready to have fun with this movie. I was going into it, with my wife, Abby. She's a big fan of Beetlejuice, a bigger fan than I am for sure. And I was like, how bad could this really be? Turned out to be very, very bad. Right off the bat, I'll get the good things out of the way, because there are 3 to 4 good things that I had from this movie, to be honest with you, and then a few okay things. The good things, there's 2 Mario Bava references in this movie. That's fantastic. I'm all about that. Astrid's parents, they met at a Mario Bava movie fest. That's very cool. And, really Tim Burton showing off he's a horror fan there with writing that into the script. That's great. And then there's a Kill Baby Kill, reference there as well, with her being his favorite movie. Surprising. The other thing, Willem Dafoe, excellent in this movie when he's in this movie. He gives it his all as like a detective actor guy. Really good. And practical sets, practical effects, that's great. I love those things. Other than that, Jenna Ortega, I thought she was pretty good for this movie. I thought Michael Keaton was pretty good for this movie. Yeah, and we're on to the meat of this video, which is some negatives for me. And I'll just kind of stay with the cast to start. This is going to spray all over the place, though. And with the cast, I'll just start with Monica Bellucci. Great that she's in this movie. Bride of Frankenstein-ish reference. Her reanimated sequence when she's first on Earth, very cool. She staples herself together, like all the body parts moving around. Really cool horror elements at times in this movie. But then she just goes away for the whole movie till the end, where she's dispatched by a sandworm. So there's a lot of kind of those parts in this movie where, to be honest, overall, it felt like a Netflix series that was condensed down, and all of a sudden they said, "Hey Tim, do you want fun and make a movie instead of a Netflix or a Max series of Beetlejuice?" It's like, sure. He definitely had fun with this movie. I'm sure all the actors did too. Doesn't necessarily make for a good movie. And with it, I felt like there were a lot of things that were just written off. The Maitlands, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis, they're just like, oh, they moved on. There was a loophole. That was like literally the line in the movie. And if you're going to loophole someone from this movie, make it Jeffrey Jones. Go ahead and Google Jeffrey Jones and find out why he was a beheaded ghost in this movie, and like they gave him this horrible death. It's like clever, I guess, but at the same point, there were like multiple times there are pictures of Jeffrey Jones, and then I'm just thinking about the crimes of Jeffrey Jones and why Jeffrey Jones is not in this movie. So again, like, these are personal issues for me, but at the same point, it's only, I can only judge from my perspective with this. I feel like it was distracting, it was weird, and like, if you're gonna loophole someone out, loophole out Jeffrey Jones. So yeah, that is kind of covering those things. Just overall, I feel like going on to the next character, I had a huge problem with Justin Theroux. I love Justin Theroux. Love a bunch of stuff he's been in. I think he's a great actor. Him as Rory was a very annoying character. Like right from the beginning, it's just like, we get it. You're trying to like just use Lydia's story and all of her tragedy and benefit off it. And like when they said they met at a grief retreat, it's like, obviously he made up having the grief story and then it's going to get revealed later in the movie. It sure does. Like all of that gets checked off. And like, it's just like, if it was more developed in a TV series, like a Netflix series, maybe I would have cared more about these characters. Maybe I would have cared more when Astrid has like that boyfriend who turns out to be a ghost who's just trying to trick Astrid to bring himself back to life. Like, but then he disappears. And I also thought that was Corey from Halloween Ends. It turns out it wasn't, but it looks like him. And then Astrid, John Ortega's character, ends up getting married to another guy who looks like the ghost, but it's a different white guy with that hair. So like all of the guys that John Ortega happens to be getting married to look like young Tim Burton. So no projection going on there by Tim Burton, I'm sure, at all. Yeah, like just overall, like it was when it like touched into the grief and the trauma talk, which you kind of expect with a Beetlejuice movie, it just felt like 30-year-old jokes. Like really didn't feel like anything was new or fresh or even kind of clever to me. And no one in our theater was laughing. I've heard other theaters that are laughing. We went opening night with a bunch of Beetlejuice fans and still was pretty quiet. It's PG-13. There's some decent horror at times. There's like a weird baby Beetlejuice that completely comes out of nowhere I didn't quite get. And yeah, just overall, Winona Ryder, she's phoning it and she's there. But yeah, her story, it should have just been simplified to a story about Lydia and Astrid, Winona Ryder and Jenna Ortega, and kind of the clash of like, I don't believe what you believe. I think it's a hoax. In her dedication to her show and everything like that. Instead, we get it going in so many different directions that we don't have any time to really spend with any of them exactly. And it's like, oh, here's Danny DeVito as a janitor for a second. It's like, okay, like it just doesn't work. And it feels like it was a Netflix show jammed in. I've said that a few times here. Trying to think if there's anything else that I am leaving off before I take off here. Just, yeah, overall, I feel that Tim Burton stopped directing 5 years ago for a reason. And yeah, this movie, in case you couldn't tell, wasn't for me. But let's get to our ratings here. All right, this is very dramatic. First of all, as I've said before, if Margaret is with me, it is a disaster of a movie. Because not saying The First Omen was a disaster. First Omen's great, but this is how I felt watching Beetlejuice. And the fact that I have to say Beetlejuice every time I say the title of this movie, very annoying. Yeah, I'm being generous here and giving it one tape. And that is one tape only. I will never rewatch this movie. They're rushing out of theaters. to have everybody pay to stream it over Halloween. And I think in a few years, we're going to find out how people really feel about this movie. Because right now, I'm seeing a lot of people on Letterboxd with those 3-star, 3.5-star reviews who are lying to themselves, and you know who you are. So this is Aaron. My views expressed only for myself, no one else. Please don't yell at Abby or John. You can yell at me in the comments. I'll be there to respond. Thank you, everybody.